Hello everyone, this is New. Okay, so I've made this pattern and you can use it one of two ways. First way is just like this. You make a square, there's a background color. I've crocheted around the edges to this like check sort of pattern that I made on the back. You can see the top is clipped. I'm gonna put a cushion in there. This is gonna be a pillowcase. So this is way number one, which is what we're gonna be doing in this video. And then method number two, this is a little bit messy because I've put this one through some stuff. But you can see this is like what I call the applique or the applique sort of version. It's sort of standalone, and I've sewed it onto this tote bag. Sort of messily on the inside. But you can see this is like the shape of BbokAri's face, so it's not in that square format. So I'm gonna have another video about that one. It'll already be up on the channel. But for now, this video is showing you how to make the square version. There's a little bit of different sort of technique involved. The square version you can use to make like a tote bag. Like honestly, this could be a tote bag right now because I haven't sewed the top up. There's some straps on it. You can make a cardigan or a vest or a blanket using multiple sort of ones of these. This is the BbokAri pattern. You can screenshot this and use as it is, or it's on my Etsy if you want like a more sort of HD sort of zoom in whatever version of it. And all 8 of the skizoos are part of that pattern. This is obviously just BbokAri. I think for the other video I'm going to do Wolf Chan. By the way, these are the baby skizoos. They're not the original sort of design. They are based on these little dudes. So just that's a good size reference. This is the finished one. It's yeah, 40 centimeters by 37, so yeah, 40 by 40 ish. That's what he looks like in the end. For today, I'm going to be using my 4mm crochet hook. I'm going to be using my 8-ply yarn, so you can use any size yarn you want, and it's matching corresponding hook. Just know that, you know, the bigger yarn you use, the bigger hook you use, the bigger the square is going to be. And if you use like a smaller hook with a thinner yarn, then it's going to be smaller. So this yellow that I'm using, this is the darker yellow, which I'm going to use for the outline. It's coming up as 2.5 millimeters thick, which is a US 1.5 apparently. Do with that what you will. So this one is, I would say, probably maybe not quite 3 millimeters. Maybe it's probably more like the 2.75. So the colors that I'm going to be using, I'm using this purple for the background. Despite somebody leaving me a very passionate comment saying that BbokAri shouldn't be in purple, I apologize to that person. I'm also going to need this, like I said, this sort of dark yellow, which is for the outline of BbokAri and his little like hair swoops. And I'm using this light yellow for his face, for his the outline of his mouth and his freckles. I'm using this sort of like coffee colored brown sort of situation, and yeah, black. Okay, so how to read a pixel pattern. So this one is 64 pixels or stitches across this way, and then up it's 66 rows. So today this blue color that we are working in is actually I'm going to be using purple for the blue. Obviously you can use any color you like. In the background I recommend using a color that is contrasting, just so that, you know, your character actually stands out a little bit, but obviously you can do what you like. It is entirely up to you. So you need to know how to do a chain and a single crochet, and that's basically all you need to know how to do. Each of these little pixels represent one single crochet. Okay, so by that logic you can see there's 64 stitches in this first row, but you actually have to start with like a row of chains, and that is not included in the pattern. So that means we're going to do 64 chains plus 1 to turn around, which makes it 65 chains. Okay, so we're doing a slip knot like this. Chuck your hook in there, and then you're gonna do 65 crochets, easy as that. If you did not want to do a square that's quite so big, you could obviously like shave off a few stitches on either side and on the top and the bottom. The reason that I have this sort of many stitches around the outside of BbokAri's face is because he's part of a set. So if you look at the pattern on Etsy, all 8 of the Skazoo characters are there, and obviously like Dweki is basically from the bottom of the chart all the way up because he's quite tall. He's got like the ears, and then like Puppy M has a really like wide face, and so Puppy M fills the entirety of the pattern this way. So the reason that there's this sort of like dead space around BbokAri is so that he matches the others basically. But if you're just doing BbokAri by himself and you don't want to like have it quite so big with so much dead space around the outside, you can definitely do that. So I'm gonna do 65 chains now. 1, 2, 3. You can see I have my 65 chains here. At this point, this is where we're actually going to start on our pattern here. So we're going to be starting this first row, and we're going to be starting on this side because we have changed this way, and then we're going to start going this way on our first pattern. And as you can see, this first row is just 64 blue squares, which, you know, in mine I'm using purple, so it's just 64 single crochets in that first row. So I got my 65 chains, but I want 64 single crochets, so obviously I'm going to skip this first one. It's just sort of a turning chain to like make it easier. I'm going to single crochet into that first chain, and then I'm just going to do that for the next 63. So at the end I'm going to have 64 single crochets, and easy as that. I'm gonna go ahead and do those 64 single crochets, and then I'll come back and meet you when I am finished. Okay, so I have my 64 single crochets. I'm at the end here. We're good to go. I'm just gonna do 1 chain, and that's to like turn around and keep going essentially. In my BbokAri pattern here, there is 7 rows of just like plain background. So that just means that I'm going to go ahead and do 7 rows of 64 single crochets. Done that turning chain, we're just going to turn around and single crochet into the top of that first row. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to do 7 rows of single crochets, and I'm going to meet you back on the 8th row because that's when we're going to start coming in with the bottom of BbokAri's chin. So we're going to do some color changing, and I will show you how to do that. Okay, so I now have my 7 rows. Thing to keep in mind is this little tail, this is the start of that first chain you did, the start of your work. This is always going to be located in the bottom left corner of your pattern, like when you're matching them up, which means that now that we're on the 7th row, you can see my hook is on this side. That means we're starting technically on this side of the pattern. Now, because this pattern is like symmetrical for the most part, it doesn't matter sort of which side you're counting in on, but technically speaking, we're starting from this side and reading the pattern this way. Because it's symmetrical, it doesn't really matter which side you read it from, but just to keep that in mind, because this part with his little like swooshes of hair, this is the only part of the pattern that is not symmetrical. So you do have to take and sort of note of which side of the pattern you're coming in from. And you also have to pick a back side when you're doing this, which obviously for me, this is the back side here and this is the front side. And that I will show you why that is important momentarily. These big boxes, these big black boxes represent 10 stitches. So I easily read this. I can go 10, 20, and then here there's 4 more. And then we swap over to our dark yellow outline color, which is this guy. And that is 15 stitches exactly. And then on this side, this is 10, 20, 4, 5. Oh, this is a little bit more on this side because BbokAri is technically he's made of like an odd number of stitches, so there is an extra row on one side of him, just so that he's the same size as all the others. But you could also just knock this last row off if you didn't care about him being the same size as the others. So what we're going to do here now is we're going to do our 24 purple single crochets, and then we're going to swap over to our yellow, our dark yellow, and we're going to do 15, and then we're going to swap over to our purple again and do another 25. Yeah, 25 stitches. Okay, we're going to start off with our 24 single crochets. I've already done one chain to sort of turn, so I'm going to quickly do that. 22, 23. Okay, so this is 23 stitches, right? Which means I need to do one more. Now you can see this is my tail, right? Now tail always goes in the bottom left corner, right? Which means that this is the back of the work. So I don't want to carry this purple across my square, because what you could do at this point is when you change to yellow, you can hold your purple and crochet over the top with the yellow, and then you'll be able to swap over to the other color on the other side. I don't want to do that. I'm going to drop it out the back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do my single crochet. I'm going to go in, yarn over, pull up. I have 2 loops on my hook, and then I'm going to drop this purple out the back of the work, and it's dropped. I'm not bringing it with me. It's going to stay back out over here. And then I'm going to take my yellow, this yellow, and I'm going to yarn over and pull through and finish this stitch in the yellow, because this is going to be the top of the next stitch. So if I were to do it in the purple, then that purple would sort of carry over, which is not what you want. It'd mean the next stitch would be half purple, half yellow. So I've dropped this purple at the back. This purple is gone. It's none of my business anymore. And we are now going to crochet over the top of this yellow tail, just to make it sort of neater. You can see this tail. So I'm going to crochet over the top of that to like make my life easier later. And if I look at my pattern, I can see that I have 15 of these dark yellow pixels, squares, whatever, which means I've got to do 15 single crochets into this purple row underneath. So that's 3, 4, 10. I'm sort of starting to run out of this tail. I'm just going to trim it now, just for the sake of, you know, keeping things neat on camera. That's 10 single crochets. I'm going to do 5 more. 1, 4, and then this last stitch we're gonna have to change the color. So just quickly, what you could do obviously is you could pick this purple one up and bring it over here and you know, start crocheting with that purple. But what that's gonna mean is that you're gonna have this big line of purple on the back of your work, which honestly, if you wanted to do that, that's fine. What I'm gonna do instead is I'm gonna show you a little bit of a way to make it neater. So you could, you know, take a portion of this purple ball and cut another line off. I have more of these purples, so I'm gonna get one of those. Oh my gosh, how successful are we gonna be about getting the guts out this time? Let's, oh, not bad, not bad. So this is the 15th stitch, so I'm gonna you know, go into the stitch, yarn over, pull up. I've got these 2 loops on there. I'm gonna change over to this next color, right? So I'm just gonna go over the top with that wisteria color, pull through. I'm gonna chuck this yellow out the back, because we're going to come back for that when we turn around. And again, I'm going to crochet over the top of my tail in purple, just to make my life easier, to make things a little bit neater. And now I have 25 stitches to finish this row, if we have done our counting correctly. So let's do that now. We have 3, 4, 24, 25, and then do a chain to turn around. So at this point, this is what we're looking like. We have our yellow, dark yellow yarns coming off here. We've got the new ball of wisteria purple over here, and then we have our old ball of wisteria purple over here. So this is our starting chain. So this is the front of our work, because it's in the bottom left hand corner. So now we're here, and we are starting on this side. So we're going to work our way across this way. So reading the pattern, you can see here we have 21 of this background color, which for us is purple. And then we're going to change to our dark yellow here. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. in the dark yellow, and then we swap over to the light yellow, which is this color here, and we're going to do 13 stitches, and then back to the dark yellow, and we're going to go 5 stitches, and then over the side we have a nice neat and easy 20 purple stitches. We're going to start introducing more colors, which means this is going to get a little bit more intense, but I promise it's not that bad. It just looks a little bit crazy. It's pretty straightforward stuff. If you print this pattern out, or if you like screenshot it, you can put it up on your computer and just like mark where you're at, and it makes it easier to sort of keep track of what you're doing. So 1, 2, 3, 20. Okay, so this is 21, which means it's the last stitch. We're going to be changing. Because it's only like 4 stitches over or whatever, I felt pretty good about just like bringing it over and then crocheting over the top of its sort of own self. You can see, just give it a little bit of slack so that it's not sort of pulling too tightly. This wisteria, we're like done with this wisteria purple, so I've just dropped it out the back. We're going to come back for that later. And you can see here we've got 5 of these like dark yellows, so we're going to just crochet over the top of that yellow. 1, 2, 3, 4, and last one, 5. As you can see in this pattern, this dark yellow, we're only really going to be using it in like 1 stitch on either side of each row because it's the outline of BbokAri's face. So my trick is, this is a chip clip. It's used for like a packet of potato chips to like keep it fresh or whatever. Because you only need a little bit of this yellow, what I would do is sort of pull off an amount. If you run out, it doesn't really matter. You just get more. You know, it's not too hard and it doesn't really make much of a mess of your work. And then I take this yellow and I wrap it around my chip clip. And then I just sort of let out however much I need when I need it, because there's only 1 stitch per row. You don't really need much at a time. So you could use like a peg for all you know, like a peg that you use to like hang your washing out, or you know, like I don't know, like a paper clip might even work. Back to our pattern here. We've done our 5 dark sort of yellows, and now here you can see we've got 13 light yellows. I'm going to pull that last loop through in the light yellow. We've got 13 single crochets, so 1, 2, 12, 13. All right, so here's where you need to bring your dark yellow sort of gold color back in. I'm gonna take a new strand of this dark yellow. I'm gonna pull through the last part with the dark, and then I am going to make sure that this light yellow is being left behind at the back of this work. And again, crochet over my gold tail. You also see this purple is here. I'm going to crochet over the top of that too, because I know that I need this purple over here. Just, it keeps it neater. You could just like leave it there and then pick it up when you need it, and then you'll have this like little sort of strand of purple hanging out the back. Not a big deal, but again, for the sake of being a little bit more neat about it, I'm going to crochet over the top. So we've got 5 of these dark yellow sort of gold stitches that we're going to do now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so we're done with the yellow. I'm gonna chuck the tail and the working yarn in that dark yellow out the back, and then I'm going to do yarn over and pull through in that wisteria purple, and now I have 20 stitches just to finish my row in purple, and that's done. So I'll go ahead and do that. 1, 2. So you can see we have our dark yellow, we have our purple over here, we've got our light yellow hanging out the back here, we've got another strand of dark yellow here, and then I have another strand of purple sort of hanging out over here, right? And then, whoops, this is our working tail, so we know it's down here. We can see we are starting on this side of the pattern because this is where our little tail is. This is where our crochet hook is. So we're going to come in on row number 10 here. We have 18 stitches in the blue or the purple, 3 in the dark yellow gold, 21 in the light yellow, another 3 in the gold, and then over the side here we have 19 stitches in purple. So that's what we're going to do now. Starting off with 18 stitches in purple, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. Okay, so this is that 18th stitch. We've got the 2 sort of loops. I know that this is the back of my work, so I'm just going to tuck that wisteria purple sort of that way. And I have got, how many? 3 stitches in this like dark yellow sort of color. So again, I'm gonna pull through, give myself a little bit of slack with that one, and then crochet over the top of that tail. 1, 2, and this is the last one, so 3, pull up, make sure that the yellow is hanging out the right side of the work. I'm gonna pick up this light yellow. You can see once you got your colors in there, this gets a lot easier and faster. So I'm gonna pick up the light yellow, again, pull through, give it some slack so that it's sort of not pulling too much, and then 21. All right, so we're gonna go through, crochet over the top of this like yellow, light yellow tail. 1, 2, 17. I'm gonna just pick this like dark yellow up so that I can, you know, carry it to where I need it to be. Again, you could just let it hang out the back and then pick it up, but this is just a little bit more neat. So it's 18, 19, 20, and this is the last stitch in this light yellow. So I'm gonna go through, pull through, gonna drop this light yellow out the back, pick up this dark yellow, and pull through that last stitch with the dark yellow, and then we are going to do 3. 1, 2, and this last stitch I'm just going to like bring this purple up because that's the color we're changing into. So I've got the 2 in that dark yellow. I'm going to chuck it out the back, pick up my purple, pull through that last one. We're on this side of the pattern, so yeah, we've got 19 stitches. What we're going to do now, I'm coming up at the end of this row, I'm just gonna finish it off and do a chain to turn around. We're going to skip ahead, so I'm gonna do some work sort of off camera because I think at this point you guys have probably got the right idea. You can see there's like a lot of stuff happening, but yeah, this is the bottom of BbokAri space that's sort of starting to form here. So we're in row 10, which is like here. I'm gonna do the next sort of 5 rows by myself off camera and bring it up to this. So I'll see you at row 16. It's time to introduce this mouth. As you can see, our starting tail is down here in our bottom left corner. We're starting from this side, which means we're moving across the pattern this way. That means we're going to start off with 9 of these like purple stitches. Okay, so I'm going to do 9 in our background color. 2. We're going to only do 2 of our little gold dark yellow, like so. And we have to change color, so pull that up on that loop, chuck that out the back, get it out of the way. All right, so our light yellow, yarn over, pull through, give yourself some tension, and then we're gonna do 18 stitches in this light yellow, 17, and then 18. So this is the final stitch that we're doing in this yellow. Now, ordinarily what I would have had you do up until now is to drop this out of the back and change to your next color, but because we're only doing like 5 stitches in this brown and then we're going back to this light yellow, for things like the beak and the eyes and stuff, I just carry the color across, which basically means that I'm going to get this new color, I'm going to pull through like this, and then I'm going to take my light yellow and the tail for this new color that we're putting through, and I'm going to crochet over the top of those. So what that means is, you know, you got to be careful because this brown, like I said, this brown is like a little bit thicker than the rest of the yarn that I'm using, and so it's already kind of a little bit different, thicker, whatever, from the rest of my yarns. So you can't sort of go too crazy with this crocheting over the top of other colors because it'll start to look bumpy and lumpy and weird. But you know, for just one color, it's okay. So I'm going to drop all of my brown out the back of my work like this because I've done my 5 brown stitches, and then I'm going to change color into my light yellow, 18 stitches again because it's symmetrical. 17 and 18. Oops, I'm gonna bring that up just to keep it neat, like so. Alright, so we're done with this light yellow. So I'm gonna chuck this light yellow out the back, pick up our gold, 2 stitches in this sort of like gold color. So 1, 2, chuck him out the back, and then we're gonna finish off the row with purple. Turn around and come back. So here's where it's starting to get a little more complicated because we're going to be introducing yet another color in the middle of this pattern. We're starting from this side of the pattern here in row 17. So you can see there is 9 sort of stitches here, 2 gold, whatever. Okay, so this is the point where I'm going to be changing colors, right? First of all, I do something in this like pixel sort of creation. You can see that the brown outline of the beak doesn't sort of like meet. You know, in the outline of the face, there's also like overlaps, so it feels like there's this continuous sort of like line in pixels around the outside, whereas that doesn't happen with the mouth. What I tend to do is I get my brown, and you're supposed to be doing 1 stitch in brown, right? Because we're gonna then change and do 5 stitches in this orange. But what I do to just sort of like make these feel more connected without changing the stitch count is that I go through, pick up a loop, pull it up, and then instead of finishing my stitch and changing into orange, I guess, I go into that first brown and pull through again. And now I have 3 loops. I'm gonna pull through on this orange like so. Voila. Alright, so you can see now this brown is sort of more connected. So if I go in there and crochet my orange stitches, we've got to crochet into this one. We've already sort of like crocheted into that, but we can't skip that one because we need 5 orange stitches. It's just to help this like area feel more connected and like less pixelated. So I keep crocheting like so. You can see it's more connected. 3, 4, 5. Alright, so now I'm going to drop on my orange at the back, and I'm going to pick up my yellow and my brown again. And the reason I do that is just so that there's not so much bulk in this mouth area. You could of course just crochet over the top of, you know, those colors or whatever, and it's probably not a big deal, but you know, just for the sake of like maintaining the same texture, if I was like crocheting over the top of all of those colors in the middle, then I think the mouth would start looking really like. So I'm gonna do that, you know, single crochet together loop business, and then I'm gonna go over the top and finish that crochet in that yellow because we're changing over to yellow. And that's what the bottom lip, the bottom of the beak is looking like. So I'm just gonna finish. Here's how we're looking right now. And on the back, we're starting to look a little bit messy. If you wanted to do this and you wanted it to be super pretty on both sides, you can. What you would have to do is have 2 separate strands of the brown, crochet over the top of this yellow, or you would have to have 2 separate strands of this light yellow. And then you would be able to like move up and sew in all your ends, and you wouldn't have any of this sort of messiness, and then you would have like a perfect double-sided BbokAri, and it would be pretty on both sides. Let me go ahead and do these side bits, and then I'll come back and see you at the beak. So I've got my yellow. I'm going to drop it out the back. I'm going to yarn over and pull through. Again, you can see here that we've got 7 orange stitches in the middle with a brown on either side. So I'm going to do that little trick where I pull through, like, you know, go through the loop, pull through, go through the next stitch, pull through. So I have 3 on my hook. I'm going to drop my brown out the back and pick up my orange and pull through with my orange, and then I'm gonna sort of like give that all of a top. I might give you guys a bit of a zoom in so you can see what's happening a bit better. So we've got to go into the top of this brown stitch. Make sure you don't, if you do my little trick, make sure you crochet into that same stitch 2 times, because you don't want to change the stitch count, and you also don't want to like have too few orange stitches in the end. So I'm going to go through with my 7 orange stitches. Drop this orange out the back, pick up this brown and pull through with the brown. Again, sort of like make sure you don't let this get too tight in the back, otherwise it's going to sort of mess with the tension of your work overall when you try and block it in the end. Again, I'm doing my like weird little trick where I go through that brown stitch once and then to the yellow one once and then drop this out the back. And then I'm going to bring my yellow across, pull through, and you can see it is a mess back here, but that is okay because it's not going to be visible in the end. And then I'm going to go ahead and finish this row and probably come back when we're back on the beak again later. Seven, 8. So this is the last one in this color. I'm gonna get my first strand of brown. I'm gonna join in the same way that I've done all of my other ones, like so. Crochet over the top of the tail, like so. We're only doing 1. Now here's the thing with the freckle, if you just do 1 single crochet like this, it's a very sort of like dainty, scattered looking little dimple, like freckle, because like if I keep kind of crocheting along, you can see there's not really much going on there. But the other thing you could do if you wanted to make the freckle kind of stand out a little bit more is do a half double crochet. So instead of just, you know, going straight in or whatever, you would pull up a loop like this, pull through, and then pull through like this, and then you can see that there's like there's another strand of brown in there, and it makes the freckle sort of more substantial. I think I'm gonna do the single crochet just because I like the dainty little freckles. I think it makes it more round and full if you do the half double. But yeah, so I'm gonna just chuck all that brown out the back and not worry about it. Yarn through with that color because we're only doing 1 stitch in that brown, and that's where we are here. And then we're just gonna keep going until we get to the beak. Okay, so we're back at the beak. We're gonna carry this yellow across, just like crochet over the top of it in the brown. We have 9 stitches that we're doing here, I think. So 1, 2, 3, 8, and last one 9. Swap over to that yellow. So that's half of his little beak done. So 8 yellow stitches. 1, 7, and this is the 8th stitch. So we're just gonna like halfway do that stitch, get our little brown. This is the second little sort of strand of brown that I cut, and then do our single crochet. And that is the beginning of our freckles. I'll probably go ahead and then finish that, and then I'll come back and I'll meet you. All right, so we're doing our freckle. So we're gonna get our brown, carry that across there, make sure there's not too much tension, give it some wiggle room. So this is the last of the freckles on this side. So basically I can cut this and get rid of it now, and then I've got just these little tails, and I'm not getting tangled up in them anymore. Again, you can like sew them in. You could also do the cardinal sin of like tying them into a knot on the back so that they don't sort of slip out. Do whatever makes you happy. So we're gonna do 5 in this light yellow, and then we're gonna need some black for the eyes. I'm gonna travel the yellow behind the black. Get rid of this brown. Gonna crochet over the tail just so that, you know, it's a little bit secure. So we only need 2 stitches in these black to start the eyes off. As you can see here, only 2 stitches. And then we're gonna swap back into that yellow. Like so. And then we've got 3 stitches in the yellow. 2, 3. I'm gonna change color there. I'm gonna drop it out the back. Pick up this brown. I'm gonna do my silly little carryover stitch. I'm gonna drop that brown out the back, pick up this orange, and then we have 5 stitches in orange to do. 2, 5, and this is actually the end of the orange, so we can snip that off, give it like a little bit of a tail, and then when we come back in the other direction we can crochet over that orange so that it's secure and you don't have to worry about sewing it in later. Okay, I'm gonna bring this brown in again, make sure that the tension is sort of not pulling too much. I'm gonna do my silly little 2 single crochet together situation with the brown, drop that out the back, go pick up my light yellow, feed that through, and then on my merry way. We only got 3 stitches of this yellow, and then we're gonna get our second piece of black yarn for the eyes. Come in here with this, and then 2 stitches. Whoops, I'm getting the brown mixed up in there, that's no good. 2 stitches in this black. Drop all of that out the back, get rid of it, don't need it right now. Pick up this yellow piece. How many yellows do we need? 5 yellows, and then we'll do another freckle, and then we will be done with the freckles. You don't have to worry about them anymore. 1. Last one. Find our yellow, our brown from the back. Again, make sure that we're not pulling too tightly on that one. The final freckle, finishing in yellow, and then I'm going to finish the row as normal. Okay, so this is what we're looking like right now. The rest of the pattern is exactly the same. It's the same sort of thing all the way up. I think we've covered sort of most of the most important techniques, methods, points. The only thing that you need to keep in mind is that when you get to the, like, this is the only part of the pattern that is not symmetrical. So you need to like pay a little bit more attention to like which direction you're going from when you get to this part. But other than that, I think we're good to go. So I'm gonna finish crocheting this guy. I'll show you the final product, and we're done. This is what the finished one looks like. And I sewed it into a cushion. In the back there's this like check print. It's just got a normal cushion stuffed in there, and then I crocheted over the top, which means that taking it out is going to be a pain in the butt. But that is a future news problem. I also have a pattern for this little guy. Well, not the cushion. I have a pattern for like the face, so that's also going to be on the channel. The pattern for all the different members is on my Etsy if you're interested. If you have any questions, concerns, queries, please let me know in the comments. And there's gonna be a lot more stuff like this in the future, so if you like it, please feel free to subscribe. Thank you. Bye bye.